Hi everyone and welcome back to the FPL Family YouTube channel. Now, one of the key things that is happening right now in FPL is the first of our fixture swings. Now, fixture swings are really key when it comes to making FPL decisions, and for some FPL managers you'll be wildcarding, and if you're wildcarding you need to really carefully pay attention to these fixture swings, not only the one that's happening now ahead of game week 4 but also the one that comes in game week 7 and of course again in game week 13. Having a plan for these fixture swings and targeting the right clubs, particularly when it comes to defenders, is so very important. Now, when we have a little look, thanks to our friends at Fantasy Football Scout, at the season ticker from game week 4 up until game week 8, we can see sitting pretty at the top, as Jimenez is celebrating above me, Wolves. Now, Wolves have been a team that have actually impressed me in the first 3 game weeks of the season, even though they have lost all 3 of their matches. And as you can see from the fixture ticker there, the fixtures look incredibly nice for them over the next 5 game weeks. So Watford in game week 4, Brentford in game week 5, followed by Southampton, Newcastle and Villa between game week 6 and game week 8. That's going to make Wolves really attractive options. And when you have a little look at the underlying stats from game weeks 1, 2 and 3, they make for good reading too when it comes to investing in Lagers boys. Now, when we have a look at what else is going on the fixture ticker and we have a little look down to second place, we can see Arsenal there, who we will talk a little bit later, followed by Norwich, Brighton, Watford and Leeds. And then at the bottom, Aston Villa, who we've all been targeting in the opening game weeks of the season, Crystal Palace, Southampton, all struggling with their fixtures over the next 5 game weeks. So let's take a look in a little bit more detail at Wolves, because if you just look at Wolves on paper, you'd go, yeah, they've lost each of their opening 3 games by 1-0 and haven't really impressed, haven't managed to score any goals as of yet. However, the underlying stats suggest that actually Wolves have been very unlucky in this opening part of the season. You can see there that Jimenez is 3rd for chances created across game weeks 1 to 3, only beaten by Trent Alexander-Arnold in a shock to nobody, and Richie from Newcastle, which is interesting. In fact, they are tied there. And then Grealish and Traore from Wolves also coming in 5th place there. So what we can see then is that actually the Wolves attacking boys have been creating the chances. They just haven't taken the chances that they are creating. And that can be backed up by the fact that Wolves are currently 3rd for goal attempts so far this season, with 57 of them. Only Manchester City with 59 and Liverpool with 70 have had more goal attempts so far this season than Wolves had. When we have a little look there at the XG underachievers for the opening 3 game weeks of the season, we see Traore, Trincao and Raul Jimenez all present in that list. Oh, and also Sias is in there too. 4 of them in there, 3 attacking players as well as one of their key defenders. All of them underachieving from what they should have got based upon the performance that they've put out in those game weeks. And you can see that when it comes particularly to size when we look at the defence. Wolves have only conceded 27 shots so far this season. Only City have conceded less than Wolves have, and they're averaging conceding 1 goal per game. Now, actually, Wolves have been defensively really solid. They were very good at controlling Spurs during the game week 2 fixture. They were very good at controlling Manchester United in the game week 3 fixture. Were it not for a Spurs penalty in game week 2 and a worldie from Mason Greenwood in game week 3, there would have been 2 clean sheets there for the likes of Sias and his Wolves defensive teammates. And we probably will be looking at them with a lot more excitement heading into this fixture swing that they have. But I really don't think we should be overlooking the Wolves defence, particularly if you've got 5 million and you want to go with the likes of Sias and Semedo, then great. But you can go in super cheap by going with Connor Cody, who's just 4.5 million and will offer you huge potential over the next few weeks, 4 clean sheets at the very worst. We've also got a heat map here for goal attempts. You can see how solid they have been in terms of going forward, how many attempts that they have created. They've had 5 big chances so far this season. Again, haven't taken any of them yet, but having held on to Traore during the transfer window with rhetoric that he might be getting a move away from the club, with him staying, with Trincao being added into the game, and of course with Jimenez basically being like a new player for Wolves this season after his horrendous injury last year, they could be the underdogs to boost us up our mini leagues. These guys could be the differentials that we all want over the next few weeks, both from an attacking perspective as well as from a defensive one. There is plenty of opportunity to invest in Wolves. And if I was you, if I was wildcarding, and even though I'm not wildcarding, I'm still looking to invest, particularly in that Wolves back line. If I've only got 4.5, I'll 100% be going Cody. But the Sire's potential for attacking returns too makes me want to find that extra 0.5 and invest in him at 5 million. It's not just Wolves though, as I mentioned before, that have a big fixture swing in game week 4. We've got on the up Norwich and Arsenal, and we've got on the down Aston Villa and Manchester United. Now, the Manchester United fixtures were incredibly kind in the opening part of the season, and they remain kind in game week 4, where obviously now Ronaldo full United have a game against Newcastle. But after that, the fixtures do look a little bit more difficult. Have West Ham, followed by Villa, Everton, and then Leicester. So there doesn't seem to be the most potential upside there when it comes to goals scored. But of course, Ronaldo is back. So this is where with fixture swings, we need to be a little bit careful, because Manchester United have the form and they also have the incoming signings to get through this fixture swing period without it being too much of an issue. Obviously, I think that if you want to go in with Cristiano Ronaldo for the early part, he makes perfect sense, even with the fixtures the way they are. Luke Shaw have some question marks over whether there's going to be clean sheets over the next few weeks. Of course, there is likely to be in this opening game in game week 4 against Newcastle, but then after that, against a really informed West Ham side, I'm not convinced that Luke Shaw will get a clean sheet in that one. So Manchester United are a team to keep on their radar, because their fixtures do take a turn for the worst. Aston Villa's, on the other hand, not only take a turn for the worst, they literally plummet. They had 3 really nice opening fixtures to start the season, and now they face Chelsea, Everton, Manchester United, Spurs and Wolves. And of course, going into that Chelsea fixture in game week 4, they will be without key players like Buendia and Martinez, because they have decided to join up with Argentina, and that will mean a quarantine coming back from a red list country, and therefore they will miss fixtures for Aston Villa. In the same way that it is likely that Romero and Lo Celso will for Spurs, because they have also joined up with Argentina, although we don't know when they will be coming back as to how many games they will miss. But those fixtures for Aston Villa don't look great, especially when they have so many injuries. Of course, Mings has got cracked ribs, and they've got some problems with bringing Watkins back in, for example. So Aston Villa are a team now where probably you would have invested for those opening 3 game weeks. The likes of Buendia and Danny Ings were incredibly popular, but now looks to be a good time to move those guys on and maybe target somebody else. Now, Arsenal do sit nicely on the fixture ticker going into the next 5 game weeks. Norwich first, followed by Burnley, then the North London derby against Spurs, Brighton, and then Crystal Palace, another London derby there for them. On paper, those fixtures look good. However, Arsenal's form and the circumstances at Arsenal right now make it difficult to invest, almost in the reverse way that we saw of Manchester United. The fixtures take a turn slightly for the worse for United, but the mood around the club, the incoming players, the way that the season has started for them means that they are still investable even with the fixtures. But for Arsenal, the fixtures take a real turn for the better. They have spent more money in this transfer window than any other Premier League club, the biggest spenders, yet they still just don't seem to be a united team. There still seems to be a lot of rhetoric about Arteta and whether he should be the manager there or not. That puts me off investing. So even with this nice run of fixtures, I really struggle to see where you can invest. Defensively, they've looked really all over the place. Now, of course, with Ben White coming back from COVID, that will help. However, you never really know how quickly these players are going to come back from COVID in terms of their fitness and their form. We haven't seen the best of Aubameyang or Lacazette yet on their return from COVID, and it might just take Ben White a little bit longer until Ben White and Tierney have a good relationship in that centre kind of position of in the middle of the Arsenal defence. I'm not convinced that I want to invest there. The outfield players, the likes of Smith Rowe, they have put in some good performances, but we are not seeing the team consistently performing well, and therefore we're not seeing the level of chances that you would want to invest in them. Norwich, on the other hand, again, bad start to the season, but an expectedly bad start to the season given the fixtures that they had in the opening part of the game. I mean, starting with 2 trips, with Liverpool coming to see them in game week 1 and then going up to Manchester City in game week 2. It's probably the worst start to the season that Norwich could have wished for. But going into the next few weeks, they now have obviously Arsenal in game week 4, and who knows what kind of Arsenal we're going to see them. Watford, Everton, Burnley and Brighton. So potentially in those next few weeks for returns. Now, of course, what we do have at Norwich is a 4 million defender in Williams, who has arrived on loan from Manchester United and started in game week 3. So investing in the Norwich defence is going to cost you just 4 million. He will likely return points, just little bits of points here and there, 1-2 pointers, which is all you really need from a 4.0 benching option. I get your point. Some people will say you don't want to invest in the Norwich defence, because they won't keep clean sheets and they'll concede a lot of goals. But they aren't entering a period of time where they're playing against teams that are scoring a lot of goals. Arsenal, Watford certainly haven't been scoring a lot of goals in this early part of the season. Everton are a slightly different kettle of fish, but then Burnley and Brighton, again, not teams that score a lot of goals. So the 2 points looks on for Williams, and at 4 million, he might enable you to have those really expensive premiums that we all want. And if you haven't watched my video on premium options, that will be available on the channel too. I think it's really important with Norwich that we talk about them in terms of the value that they offer the team. At 4 million, Williams could be a really nice defensive pick, as he has started for them in game week 3. I also, speaking from having watched him, really rated Rashika in game week 1. 5.4 million. Again, he's on the cheaper side of that midfield slot. And there are some defences in here that you think he could get at. He had a really good go at the Liverpool defence in game week 1. And were it not for the fact that Van Dijk is solid as a rock alongside Matip, he might have got some joy in that game. Against this Arsenal defence who's been ravaged by COVID and just haven't had any consistency yet, I can definitely see him getting something out of them. And Watford have slips and mistakes in them defensively, so there could be some joy for him there too. And of course, those teams know each other well, having played against each other in the Championship last season. The good thing about Norwich is you don't have to spend a lot of money to invest in them. You can go down from Tony if you fancy a change and want to save some budget to the likes of Pukki. You can save a lot more by going Rashika, and you can save absolutely loads by going from Brandon Williams. Now, of course, it is Norwich. We're not expecting huge levels of returns, but the fixtures are really nice. And if you're ever going to have a cheap way into a team that's got nice fixtures, maybe it's Norwich that are the ones that you want to be having a little look at. And when we go back to the fixture ticker, you see them right up the top there with Wolves and Arsenal. And in fact, the only reason that they're below Arsenal in the ticker is because Arsenal comes up as a slightly red fixture for them. And I would argue that the way that Arsenal have been playing lately, that's more like a blue fixture for them. It's a slightly more blue fixture than it is red fixture anyway. So, what do you think about the fixture swings in game week 4? Which team are you going to invest in, and which player do you think could be the one that boosts you up the mini leagues and boosts you up the overall rank in this next 5 game week period of the season, right up until our next fixture swing in game week 7? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time for some more FPL content. Thanks, guys.